Hello, everybody. This is episode 17 of Shoot the Breeze, chill interviews all around, and a chill time for you and me. I'm your host, Heavy Divider, and right next to me is a very humbling individual. As a matter of fact, he is a very master of puns in his own degree, as well as somebody you can always talk to just to get really sound advice, as well as basically somebody you can always hang out with for the most part. My guest for tonight is ReinhardtEchoes, but I just call him Ryan for short. Welcome, buddy.
Hello. I didn't know you were into interviewing old VRChat relics, but here I am.
Sometimes we need to know the history from different other people on hand, especially if they were here before us, you know?
Apparently.
Alrighty, so, my first question on hand I would like to ask you is, how the hell did we meet?
That is a good question. I think we had like a proper meeting at one point in the pub, if I remember correctly.
I believe so. I'm trying to remember.
But before that, I'm pretty sure we met once beforehand when I was running around as Reinhardt, I think with Bonfire and all them, and you had joined. I think we had like a casual, like, hi and bye, like, meeting.
I feel like we've kind of met because when it was in the pub or anything, I might have joined off Arnie, and I might have met you for him.
No.
Or at one point or another, I might have met
once
you
before that, but
I think I might have met you for Saya too, like early part of it on hand, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like when Paperbag was starting off, and basically Saya was there too, so I might have met you from them too.
Yeah, no, I remember that. So, I think I did meet you once before that though, but we didn't really have like a talk until you joined off Arnie that one night in the pub. It was a strange night, is all I remember, because it was a weekend, so everyone was drunk, as they always are in VRChat, apart from me.
And me.
I think you weren't drinking as well, so we were the only sober people who could communicate, so I think that's how we, like, actually started talking.
Yeah, it just takes a couple sober people just to basically have a conversation while we just look on the madness of everybody else just diving into the bottles on hand. So, but,
It was a good time.
Oh yeah, good time. Good time. It was actually a good chill talk we have on hand. I couldn't remember what it was, but hey, I'm pretty sure it was chill overall.
Definitely something. Probably Knuckles, considering the time period.
That probably might have been it on hand. So, let me ask about your VRChat origins, if I can ask on hand. What got you into this game?
Gosh. Okay, so that's actually somewhat of an interesting story. I've told it on my stream a few times, but it's actually really, in my opinion, kind of funny. Which is, I had quit playing League of Legends. I was, like, attempting to go professional when I was younger. I was, like, challenger and just really going deep in League of Legends. But I decided to just go cold turkey. After a period of time, it not working out. And I was just really bored and not knowing what to do, because League had consumed, like, 13 hours of my life every night, pretty much. And a friend of mine, a mutual friend of mine, was like, "Oh, you're not doing that anymore. You should come play VRChat." And I was like, "What the hell is that?" And he showed me some videos from a League of Legends streamer at the time called Dyrus, and he was streaming the game and like playing it, and I thought it was hilarious. And my friend decided that he was going to tell me several lies, one of which being that I needed to do a character if I was doing VRChat. I can't just jump on and be me, I have to be something else, because everyone's a character in VRChat. He lied to me on that front. So originally, fun fact, I wanted to be All Might. I was like, I'll be All Might, but I couldn't find an avatar for it. So I was like, fuck, what do I do? And I was like, damn, love Ryan. So I went and tried to find a Reinhardt avatar. So the first day I was in VR, or VRChat, not in VR specifically, I was running around in desktop as a Reinhardt model with, I think it was a weird head, but it wasn't Reinhardt's head. And that's how I got started. I got started because a friend of mine got me into it by me watching Dyrus, and then I saw Drek Quiz, which I thought was hilarious. And then I just started doing the Reinhardt impression and voice, because my friend lied to me.
And I like the fact that basically you gotta be a character within a game like this, even though, like, most of the people you ever meet are just themselves. They're just there to socialize. It's a social game. Like, literally. Like, it's...
No, the first 3-4 days of me being in there, I was looking around like, no one's a character, this is some... But I was already invested at that point. Like, I had my own Reinhardt avatar that a friend of mine had helped me make. I was running around in, like, the bootleg Paragon model I used to run around in when I was in desktop mode. And it was just... Oh, I have stories from that first week, which is my favorite story to always tell from that first week is I was running around just trying to talk to people, but my friend wasn't online, because I was just bored. And I kept finding Germans, like actual Germans, And I would run up to them as Reinhardt and do my, at the time, really bad Reinhardt impression, because at the time I just didn't know like how to voice act or do anything.
Mhm.
And my favorite interaction was I went up to one of them and they started speaking in German towards me, and I had learned from the previous Germans I talked to how to say I don't speak German in German, which is Ich spreche kein Deutsch. I will never forget that phrase. I probably butchered the pronunciation, but I said to him Ich spreche kein Deutsch in the Reinhardt voice, and he comes back in English and says cop out and runs away from me, and I just logged off for the night. I just gave up. I was like, okay, I'll come back later.
Good God. I know, there's actually, funny enough, there's actually Germans on here that they actually, for some reason, even though they're German, they speak really good English on hand. Like, you would know automatically they're German.
Most Germans speak incredibly good English.
Yeah. Which is serious, because it's like from I haven't got a chance to talk to him on hand, but basically, I can't remember their name right now. It escaped me that quick, but basically, yeah, some of them just like really good at just like secondary English on hand, while most of us is like have a hard time just trying to like get a few sentences out with a certain English before we kind of like stop in our tracks cold with certain things here. But one thing I would like to ask too on hand too is basically, what are your hobbies besides just this game entirely? Because I know you play MMOs. I know WoW. I know your stories about WoW on hand, especially the time when you told me that once WoW Class came out, you're going to be 48 hours away just being a gremlin. I remember that much on hand.
Well, I almost got there. When WoW Classic came out, I started my stream. I went for 28 hours straight, and then my stream started, like, people started joining my chat who were there at the very beginning, and they were like, Ryan, you haven't slept yet? And I was like, I'm gonna keep going. And they were like, Ryan, I'm concerned for your health. And I was like, don't be, I'll be fine. And they bullied me off of streaming, and I ended up like doing a tweet, and I was like, when your stream makes you stop streaming 28 hours in when you'd only just begun.
It's like when your own community bullies you into bed.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I was like, to be fair, I looked like shit. Like, when you're doing those kinds of things when you're younger, you don't really see yourself, right? You're just kind of sitting there in front of the screen. You don't see how pale you look, how like dead inside you look. But when you're on the stream and you're like got your webcam on, and I just looked over to my OBS occasionally, I was like, damn, I look like a fucking zombie. Just, I was like, I didn't even pick undead. This is bullshit. But no, apart from MMOs and VRChat, as I said, I played MOBAs religiously for a while. I played Smite, I played League, I tried Dota 2, but I just couldn't really get into it at the time. I really do enjoy those kinds of games. Recently I've been playing VR games, a game called Until You Fall. Until You Fall has been great. That game is essentially just a roguelike VR game, and it's incredibly fun. They don't have a hammer in the game, so I'm currently trying to beat the game with only fist weapons, which are the worst weapons in the game, so I can then send a screenshot to the people who make the game and say, give me a hammer. So, fingers crossed on that.
Hopefully so.
Yeah, apart from that, Blade and Sorcery has been always fun. I love Blade and Sorcery, super fun game. Beat Saber, obviously. Beat Saber, everyone loves. If you've got VR, you've got Beat Saber, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much on hand. So.
Yeah. Apart from that, though, I have not been playing Genshin Impact as much as everyone else has been. I've got it installed and I need to play it, but my concern is that I remember I have like flashbacks to my League of Legends days of buying skins, and Genshin Impact's a gacha, so I'm like, how much am I going to accidentally spend on this game if I do get into it?
Get that accidental addiction on hand where basically it's like, okay,
exactly.
Okay, if it's not the level grind that's going to get you, it's just basically the cosmetics that'll get you on hand.
Yeah, exactly. It will consume my wallet and my soul.
So,
yeah.
But, okay, so let's talk about communities on hand that I was going to ask. Okay, during your time or so from being on VRChat, as well as basically from League of Legends VRChat to, like, voice acting in general, like, all the way through, I'm pretty sure you've seen some interesting communities on hand you've ever kind of, like, been a part of.
100%.
And as well as some stuff on here and there that you've just, I guess, experienced in an interesting way and just kind of, like, learn about it here and there. But I was kind of curious, like, what's some of the weirdest experience you had with certain communities here and there, or just, like, things that stick out in your mind?
Weirdest experience.
Or things that stick out in your mind.
The one that... The most toxic community out of all of them is still the League of Legends community. I'm not sure how it is now, I haven't played in years, but that game just... Everyone's angry at every point, at least on the server I was on, which was EU West. And, it was like... You start out in silver or like bronze and like everyone's angry. Then you get to gold and everyone's angry. You get to platinum, everyone's angry. You get to diamond, everyone's angry. And I had the foolish thought of, if I get to that top 200, no one will be angry. And I got to that top 200, and everyone was still angry. Except now that angry person re-queued 40 minutes later on and played with me again. I can't escape the anger this time around. They're just there.
Good God.
So League was one of those really weird communities that just, you can't really escape the toxicity. You're gonna have at least one day, like one game a day is just gonna ruin your fucking mood.
Yeah.
VRChat has the most stories though. Just VRChat, my goodness, VRChat stories are just weird. Like, just all the things that have happened over it. One moment.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, I had to sneeze.
No, you're good.
But yeah, no, the VRChat community, like, stories are just so weird. Like, from my days when I used to run around with Bon, and everyone else, like FoxGod and all them, back when FoxGod wasn't FoxGod, but we can't say his actual name. That, like, just so many weird things happen. Like, one of my favorite stories to tell from back in the day was, as you know, I'm like the priest for like a lot of weddings in VRC.
Yeah, I remember the stories about it.
Yeah, no, I had was running around as Reinhardt in a Friends Plus world, and a friend of a friend's joined who was in a Knuckles avatar, and like it was like a little blue Knuckles and a little red Knuckles. They both came running up to me, and they were like, hey, hello, would you mind? I have heard of your exploit. Would you mind being the priest for my wedding? And I was bored, so I was like, hell yes, little Knuckles, take me with you. So he adds me. And he invites me to this world, and I'm expecting like this huge scuffed world, or like someone to just fucking like meme at me and just silly things. And I join, and it's quiet, and I'm like slightly concerned. I'm like, am I going to be jumped? Like, where are we at here? And we walk into the fucking like wedding world. This was the old wedding world, like you know, the one back in the day.
Oh yeah, back in the day.
And
Just Merry World.
Yeah, I walk in, and I see on the right side all blue Knuckles. And the left side, all red Knuckles. And I'm like, what the fuck? And they're like, come with me, brother, come with me. And they're like, I follow this dude. And he's like, stand here and do your priestly activities after they walk down the aisle. And like, they explain to me how it's all going to work. And I'm like, oh, okay, yes. Doing my Reinhardt shtick. And I watched the most unscuffed wedding that night that I've ever done in VRChat, because like the two Knuckles walked down the aisle, everyone was quiet. I did not hear a single noise. I was like so confused. And they like walked down the aisle. I did my priestly thing, and I said, you may now kiss the bride. And as they kissed, every Knuckle started clicking. And I fucking lost it. I muted myself, and you just saw me keel over fucking laughing. And it's the one thing I wish I had on stream from back in the day, because I wasn't streaming at the time, and I was so sad. Because I wish I had that clipped, because no one will believe me.
I will say, that sounds like the most, I will say for the most part, it sounds like the most respectful part of like the Ugandan Knuckles meme you can ever get. Just like everybody's so quiet, respectful for a Knuckles wedding. That's the most craziest thing on hand here. Jesus.
I've done like several weddings in VRC, like I think over 30 something now, and that is still to this day the least scuffed wedding I've ever done. Everyone else has had one person talking, one person memeing, one person saying thank you for a subscription. Something's happened while like the wedding's been going on, but that one, nothing. Literally, I could not point out a fucking blemish on that wedding. That's one of my favorite stories to tell from VRChat.
Jeez, that's already perfect as it could be. Just like it's a timeless relic. It's a timeless relic you can never forget on hand. So
it really is.
So let me talk about voice acting with you. What actually got you started within voice acting in general? Like, what kind of sparked that interest on hand?
This game, actually.
This game?
Like, as I said, like, my friend said, hey, you should come and play this game, but you have to be a character. And I chose to be Reinhardt. And at the time, I did not know how to voice act. I did not know how to do a Reinhardt impression. And I essentially just had a really, really bad Reinhardt impression. There's a clip on my channel somewhere still. It's like, I think it's like 40, 50 views, something like that. It shows me on my first week of streaming, and it has this awful, awful Reinhardt voice with it. And this game really just pushed me towards wanting to do that. And I just really got into being Reinhardt specifically because it was just so much fun doing the voice and just doing that and just like, oh yes, little one, don't worry, yes, I will be your shield, hammer down, yes. Like all of that was just so much fun to me. I was like, I want to do better. I want to be a really good Reinhardt impression because there were so many people that ran around as Reinhardt, but all of them were just doing like, they made their voice a bit deeper. Some people were using like voice changers, and I was like, I want to be the Reinhardt that everyone knows.
You want to be the real authentic thing, down to the wire of it.
Yeah, so I ended up practicing like almost every day. I was like, okay, I would open up the Overwatch wiki, I'd open up Reinhardt's wiki page, and on that wiki page it had every voice line he had, and I would just click it, and then I'd redo it, and then I'd hear myself, and I would continuously redo the line until I got to a point where I was happy with it. And I eventually just got to the point where like people like were impressed with my Reinhardt voice and they liked it, and I was like, yes.
There you go.
And after that, like I was like done. They can't really improve more on what I have without being the actual voice actor itself. So it was like, I was like, damn, but I really enjoyed that. And after that, I just like was like, okay, I'll just do voice acting because it just seemed fun, and I just went from there. I really just dove into it, and I was like, obviously I can't do an impression for my voice acting, so I just started doing normal voices and like doing other voices and all the rest of the stuff. I branched out and had another character, as you know, like I have the Steve character that I do on my stream, and that was just a random voice I like did while I was in that period. So yeah, no, that's what got me into voice acting personally.
I was gonna say that was an interesting time on it because I actually remember the Steve character, and I think when you,
Yeah.
I just remember you. I think I remember you walking up to. I don't know who it was, but I heard you talking. I was like, I am so confused right now because I have no idea what's going on.
I think I know exactly what you were talking about because it was the first time you and Saya had seen Steve, and you'd walked in on a world when I was doing a Steve stream, and I ate someone who was being really rude, and I said, tastes like a bitch, and then you guys turned around, you were like, Reinhardt? And I was like, oh, salutations, yes. And you guys were just so confused at seeing me in that state.
God,
I remember that one specifically.
I just actually remember it now just because it's the most amusing thing to me, just picturing that. But I will say, what are some of the challenges you have to face, like, for you entirely? Because I would feel like, you know, I'll be honest with you, as I'm listening to you right now or so, I barely hear, like, an accent coming from you at all. So I would assume that maybe as a voice actor, you probably have to overcome, like, say, your own accent entirely, especially trying to, when it comes to, like, a certain voice you want to try to get, like, past that where it doesn't, like, blend in, or, like, you can easily hear it in the voice entirely.
Yeah, for me personally, I have a really weird voice because when I was really young, like 8 years old, I was playing World of Warcraft on United States ROM. So I was talking to Americans when I was 8. So my accent kind of just died off slowly from talking to the Americans while also talking to British people. I have like this weird collection of both. And so me getting over my accent was very much just, okay, how do I add accents into my repertoire more than getting rid of it? Because my British accent, I've never had issues just getting rid of. Like with the Reinhardt voice, the issue wasn't getting rid of the accent. The issue was getting down to the graveliness and like realizing how it is and just all of that. But troubles I've had, probably just getting jobs. Like breaking into the voice acting industry is disgustingly hard, and you can audition for everything and talk to many people, but unless you have someone who's a friend of yours who can like get you in, you very much have to force your way into it with like immense skill and like good prices and all the rest. Like, hey, I'm very cheap and I have this skill and this microphone, please give me a job that's clearly underpaid for me. But I just need it so I can put it on my resume. No, it's difficult.
Yeah, it's weird because the industry like that is pretty much the industry, like, be it voice acting, video game, no matter what, it is very picky when it comes down to it. Like,
it is.
Portfolio wise, like, it's almost like one of those weird slim to none chances at points, especially when it comes down to what people are looking for. And sometimes it's just very. Sometimes at most, it's almost just very disheartening on hand, especially when there's so many talented, so many talented people out there who can do very good jobs on hand with what they do,
Yeah.
and they have to find a way to be able to implement that in different ways. Like I've seen many people on YouTube be able to do that with like different videos on hand, as well as basically implement it in like different ways for like through Twitch. So it's just like just a very hard place to be in.
It is incredibly difficult. You kind of have to have something under your belt which shows your skill for people to even give you the time of day. And one of the things that was really disheartening, as you said, was I was like in the process of being auditioning for something. I don't want to mention what, but
that's fine.
And as I was auditioning for it, I got past a few of the stages, and I was like near the end period, like where the auditions were just about to be pulled, and I was like almost guaranteed the job, and I was like, yes, like really happy for it. And a professional voice actor, a really professional voice actor, like one who like had done industry jobs, came in the last day and just snagged the job away from me, and I was like, ugh.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it just really disheartens you for a while, and you kind of just have to pick yourself back up and just truck down that road.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, sometimes you're gonna put in your heart and soul into like an audition and just not get anything out of it. Because you don't get paid for the audition, you only get paid for the work. So you sink a bunch of time into it, and unless you get that money from like the job you're auditioning for, it's not really worth your time. That's why most voice actors have like a secondary job.
No, I understand. I do hope for the most part you do definitely get that job that you've been looking for on hand. Because because you're full of ambition, I can tell. Full of ambition and very determination on hand for what you want to do. So, and the interesting...
Definitely sinking time into it.
Yeah, definitely sinking real time into it, which is a telling sign. That means how much you work hard for it. So, let me ask you about time zones on hand, because as somebody who lives in the UK or so, it kind of like, it's like a little bit of a hard time on hand just to be able to, especially like when it comes to like a game like this where you got like people from different time zones on hand. Like, so most of the time, if you ever see anybody from the UK or so, they would usually be on, like, for example, my time would be the afternoon. Like, most of them would be on because it would be, like, for you, it would be 9 o'clock. And at weird parts, so I could be up at midnight, and then there would be some people that be on, like, in the morning or so that you can easily encounter. Like,
British people who are online like 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning.
But, how was the time zone for you at that time when you were starting out with VRChat in general or so? Because I figured that basically you've probably been up till midnight on hand.
Very difficult time zones have been for me, because actually they've been difficult pretty much my entire life, because as I mentioned, I started on US ROMs for World of Warcraft, and the reason I started on US ROMs was because my brother had gotten me into the game, and he had played RuneScape. And if you know about RuneScape, you know that like there's not really like regions over there. Like RuneScape's more just like there's a world which is US, there's a world that's European, but jump to any world you want, who gives a crap.
Yeah.
And my brother had a bunch of Canadian friends and American friends, so when he started playing WoW, he was playing United States WoW, and I jumped into United States WoW as well because I wanted to play with him. So all of my friends for the most part since I was younger online have all been US. So I've always had issues with time zones, because like me raiding back then would be me being up at 11, 12 at night. And then, like, in other guilds I'd been in, raiding would be like 2, 3 in the morning. That wasn't so much an issue though back then, because I wasn't talking, so it was more just like staying up late and then doing stuff and then all the rest. Time zones really became an issue actually in VRChat, because the time period where I was not a relic in this game and I was actually like quote-unquote big streamer was very difficult for me actually, like in the background of it, because I was everyone was jumping online at like 1 in the morning my time, and I was streaming at 1 in the morning as Reinhardt, and I was in a lot of arguments with my family for very good reasons, mind you, because I was being very loud, but I just really enjoyed what I was doing, so I had to work around it.
Yeah.
The time zone's been awful always, because just if I could move to Canada, I would quite gladly move to Canada, is all I'm gonna say.
No, I feel you. And plus, there's like some good people in Canada you would definitely want to be able to meet up here and there. or so. That's why
Oh yeah, and I'm
specifically.
close to US people, so it's
Yeah,
like,
that's why specifically I always threw that option out there for anybody. Like if we're ever doing an interview with somebody who has like overseas or so, I threw the option out there. If you want to do it at a certain different time or so, I'm down for it. Like it's one of those things because I
I
want to be.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's one of those things I just want to benefit the person I want to interview more than just anything else because they need that. They need that more than anything else on hand. So
I appreciate that because my goodness, is it difficult to like talk at my normal volume because I've got somewhat of a deep voice and it just echoes throughout my entire small house.
imagine that on hand. Where basically you can imagine that on hand. You could basically just be doing your own thing, and somehow your entire room just shakes after just basically just talking.
When I yelled hammer down back in the day, my entire cul-de-sac knew.
You could hear it. Jesus.
Yeah. It was I got into that character far more than I probably should have for where I lived.
Jesus. So let me ask you about the VRChat's current present right now. When you first started, compared to where we are now with VRChat in general, what are some of the things you wished some of the things you're glad have been changed over the course of time that we are where we are now, and what are some of the other things you wish they did not change at all, like with the game in general, as time went by?
Very difficult question to answer, but like things I'm glad they've changed is world creation. The world has been amazing ever since. Like back in the day, we used to live in the Pug and Gaia Nights, and the cupboard was like my place of living for like half a year with me and like Sable and like my old group of friends and all the rest. And that was mainly because there was no good worlds. There was we didn't have the Room of the Rain or this world or any worlds. Like Summer Solitude didn't exist.
There's like 3 worlds that you could just easily remember being the Pug, Gaia Night, or the Presentation Room.
Oh, also Presentation Room. Everyone lived in the Presentation Room. Like back in the day, one of the big streaming things was everyone's gonna draw something and I'm gonna grade it, and you'd go around and you'd be like, that's bad, that's good, I like that, you're playing to my thing, you just mess around. I do kind of miss the Presentation Room.
Yeah, ever since New Worlds came out.
I'm glad they changed the worlds. Ooh. The worlds are so good.
Yeah. It's got like a nice vibe for everything. Yeah,
there's no way murder would have existed 3 years ago. Murder was like a figment in someone's imagination like 3 years ago. Best we had back then was Werewolf, which was really scuffed.
Yeah, it was. I remember, it was scuff on hand.
Yeah, good time though.
Yeah, good times all around. Also, not only that, it created this interesting gateway where people no matter how much this thing keeps upgrading from each Unity on hand, people are gonna find a way to find something that they can do here and there. There's interesting games for the most part. Some of them when you've been around, you've seen everything. But if you're starting out, you got plenty of things to choose from. Choose from and just work your way through, no matter what it is on hand.
Another thing I'm glad they changed was the security stuff, because back in the day we didn't have any of that. We did not have security settings, and I would randomly just be in a world with my friends and someone would join it and crash everyone. And it was just boring, because the thing is, I get that the person doing it has a really great time, and they're like, oh, all those people's days are ruined, great time, but everyone else who's getting hit by it is oh, this is kind of irritating. Now I have to relog into VRChat and get on the thing, get all my friends together, or then go into an invite plus. It was just a pain, but I'm glad nowadays I don't really have to worry about that as much. There's definitely still people that do it, but it's not easily accessible anymore.
Yeah, especially due to the new safety settings on hand, where basically even if they try to use an animation, if you have that animation already disabled, they can't do anything at the same time or so. There are people out there who have same thing with particles on hand. Is if you have particles disabled, they won't do anything to you. I don't know. There'll be people who find a way to work around it, because since it's Unity that VRChat's using, there's always going to be a security breach within Unity.
Of course.
Yeah, because Unity always updates itself every 2 weeks or so.
It does, yeah.
So it's kind of hard to be able to keep up with that entirely on hand.
Yeah, VRChat's been doing a good job, though. I will say the development team has been incredibly good compared to back in the day. Back in the day, they were just starting out, and I didn't think they really had everything set up as well. I think it was very much just the gamers had made, and they would add the tools, but they didn't really know what else to do as much. But nowadays they're very much more hands-on, and like we get updates weekly almost.
Which is good. Which
yeah,
is good on hand.
No,
So.
I was just like saying that I really enjoy like the constant updates for getting the talks. Like 3.0 has been amazing. I've been told I've been too lazy to update myself, but according to Sable and other friends of mine, it's amazing and like really good.
Oh yeah, I've heard interesting things about you could just easily do like different things here and there. For me personally, I've got an avatar. I'm happy with what I've got. I just want to at least have something of my own, just to be able to at least talk to people, and that's just about it. Like I'm not like a particle person or like animations kind of person on hand. Not my thing on hand.
VRChat is a glorified chat room. I've been saying it for years. VRChat is a glorified chat room from the early 2000s with VR technology, which is why everything's scuffed and everyone's horny. And
very expensive. Like, expensive free game. As Jeffy Bed once said, this is a very expensive free game. So
it is. This headset is the Index, and that thing cost me like £400. And then these are leg trackers, which cost me £400, and these are Vive ones, which cost me £200. And it's like, fuck. Spent more money on this game than League almost, and I played League for like 5 years.
Yeah, that's the thing on hand too. You just want to be able to express yourself, no matter what it is, or so.
Yeah.
Especially in a game like this. So. We've already talked a little bit about like some stories on hand for VRChat entirely, but I had like some old story. For some reason I put down old stories on hand from VRChat or so, like things that kind of like stick out of your mind or so, because it's one of the things where like when you go far back in VRChat, you just immediately remember the times on hand, the sort of things used to exist, from like Conagain to like the interesting development of because there was like surges on hand when it came to VRChat. Like you had the people who came from YouTube.
Yeah.
Who came from YouTube in July of 2017 that basically kind of elevated a little bit, and then finally when Twitch discovered this place on hand or so, like in like early, I think December 2017 or January 2018, it started.
Yeah, I think it was December or I think it was December or January. No, I think it was January, wasn't it? January 2018. I joined before that.
Yeah, it's in between there. That's all I can think, because that's when it started to surge, and basically there was like the popularity, or basically the spread of it, was going around on hand. Where that's how I found VRChat, was through YouTube, because of its rise in popularity, because people had compilations from different other streamers on hand and posted on YouTube. But and the interesting thing on hand is the fact that like you've seen a lot of things come and go when it comes to a game like this.
I have.
And I have too.
Yeah, no, I have. I mentioned at the very beginning, which was like, I can't believe you're getting relics on this, and that's because like I've been playing this game for like 3 years now. I'm essentially a relic of the past, because VRChat very much has segments of streamers, which is one thing I've noticed, which is like, it started out with Team 5, like the original OGs, that being like Pokelols and all them, and that was like the original streamers. Then it went on to Chips and Nuts, and that was like the RP era. And then the third era was me and Bon's era, pretty much, like the kinetic era, like where it was like me, Bon, FoxGod, just all of Kinetic, just everyone just kind of running around. And then that era kind of ended, and then after that era ended, we kind of went into the meme era, almost like a secondary meme era, where it was like Lolathon and Neither and all of them just really blew up. Like Lolathon was always sick, but Lolathon really like that night, like. Which I always thought he deserved it personally.
Yeah, he did, because if you've seen like his old videos on hand, like you could tell he was like, you could easily tell he was getting his video editing down, and basically once it started taking off, it paid off hard for him. Like he did great. Yeah, he earned it big time.
Lolathon deserves everything that he's ever gotten, because like I remember back in the day when he wasn't as big, which he was still big, but he wasn't like 1,000 viewer, like really big back from like he was at that period, which is when he used to just join worlds and fuck with people. And he was like an enigma in every streaming thing. Like he would just join on me and FoxGod and Bon, and we would be fucking around, and Lolathon would just appear and honk at us and do some stupid shit, and then he'd leave like a fucking like wind in the night, just like whew. And he put so much time and effort into everything he did. Yeah, including the models he made too. Like with each different meme, each different meme or call back to some of the stuff you would know from YouTube era or so. Which is interesting. Him and Neither are two of the most hardworking people who have worked on this game. Like him and Neither have just put in so much disgusting amounts of time into just.
Yeah, I put it down like this, where basically Lullathon is kind of like the meme side of it, where it basically has it, and Neither is kind of like almost the Broadway side, where basically they do really good in the sense of
a good way of saying it.
They do it in the sense of basically telling a story per song, and you can see it on hand. And I've seen on hand where basically they were able to master their play space mover, where it almost looks like they mastered it on hand, where basically they got it down for the most part, just patched on hand overall, and that's actually pretty incredible on hand. Same thing with what Lullathon does with his animations and everything. Like, it tells a story, but it's a great story to watch when you get a chance to see them.
Yeah. One thing that's just really interesting about VRChat is you'd think it's not a game that like you can really perfect, but with movement and things and like being fluid in this game, you can really perfect that because there's small nuances you can really do. And it's not really a skill. It is a skill thing, obviously, but it's like not the typical kind of game skill. Like this isn't League of Legends or a competitive thing. This is literally just like, holy fuck, Neither looks like he's actually dancing and moving around, when in reality he's just going in a fucking circle.
Yeah,
and
he is.
It is disgustingly impressive what he's doing.
Yeah, just make it so realistic.
Same with Lullathon, like just his movements and memes and all the rest. Like he's clearly practiced and just done several of it. Like as I said before, like the amount of effort that those two people had put in, just they've really deserved it.
Right now, I would. No, go ahead. Sorry.
As I was saying originally, though, like then that era kind of like shifted, and now we're in this new area. And this new era, I am literally the oldest man in, because I don't even know the new era. I don't watch VRChat stuff that much anymore, and I'm like looking at it, and I'll like meet people around it because I still know everyone, right? I'm an old man. I've known everyone. Everyone's on my friends list. Like, I always make the joke with my friends, which is I have one friend in every friend group in this game, and like I meet people nowadays, and they're like, my friends are like, oh, you must be so happy meeting them. And I was like, I don't know who the hell they are. like I'm just joking.
The only way I could say what this era is right now is basically, I almost want to say it's another round of the RP era, because I have seen like I have seen like certain streamers and content creators being like RPs or getting into RPs here and there on hand for the most part. What
That's
they're doing,
surprising. And
I guess it's also since it's a strange time right now, I would say maybe it might be the quarantine era as well, because of the fact that sometimes you're going to see more people than you had beforehand, especially from all the way back then, because they're just making a reappearance, and just be able to see how they're doing, which is a
lot of people also have a lot more time though right now, because
a lot more
because
time.
Of COVID. Everyone's getting laid off, and some people are quarantined and they can't go leave the house, and people are just making worlds and fucking around and streaming because they can. And we're getting like this new era now.
Yeah, this new era right now.
I call it the COVID era.
we might as well, because it's a strange time on hand. But overall, or so, at least for the most part, we know for a fact it's still going. Like, it hasn't died.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It hasn't died off on hand, but at the same time, we're seeing familiar faces we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
so I was just gonna say, as I mentioned, like we kind of always have these eras of different streaming. But there's always people from different eras that like are still there. Like Lullathon had been around for like fucking like since the nuts and like the nuts era and like all of that. Like chips and nuts. Like he was back then, and he would just run around and meme on them, and then he'd leave. And everyone was like, who the hell was that clown? And then it became, who the hell was Lullathon? And then it's like, wow, it's Lullathon. It was like, it took like 2 generations for Lullathon really to get the recognition he did, because he put in all that time. Like, so I'm not surprised that a lot of old names that we used to see are just popping up again nowadays, because it's like, wow, like, he's still around. He's still trucking, or she's still trucking. Yeah.
I mean, it also shows how small this community is, because we're always going to see the same faces over and over again. So, I will say the next thing on hand that I was going to ask is, let's talk about anime on hand.
Ooh.
So
we going weeb, I see.
Go a little bit of the weeb route on hand, but I will say
weeb route.
Yeah, the weeb route. But I was gonna say first anime that comes to your mind, like say when you think of anime in general, what will be the first thing that pops in your head?
Gantsu no Line.
Gantsu no Line?
It's my favorite. It is my favorite anime. It is one which, unfortunately, not many people have watched, from what I understand. But it's from an award-winning manga of, I can't remember his name at the moment because I'm a potato, but it's my favorite anime. and it's just very much emotionally driven. Like, I love anime, I love action anime. Like, One Piece is not my top 5 and will be until like the day it ends, and I will cry emotionally when that happens. But like, Gatsu no Lion really hit me in several different emotional ways, and just really like the impact that that story had on me just is felt. Like, it's very much one of the few animes that I've watched which really made me question my own mental state somewhat, and just like it very much is something I would recommend to anyone who like is wanting to like have an emotional journey and just being like, hey, do you want something that's like interesting but weird but also like really gonna hit you in turn? Then I recommend Gatsu no Lion.
Gatsu no Lion. I was about to ask, the second question I was going to ask is, what is the anime that kind of hits you close to home? But I feel like you might have already answered that.
Gatsu no Lion.
Gatsu no Life, there you go. Gatsu no Life.
If I have to pick another one though, a show called Bakuman. Bakuman was really, really good and was my number 1 anime until Gatsu no Lion had come out. And that is about 2 guys who get together and they make a manga together, but it's an incredibly rich story. Made by the same dude who did Death Note, actually, but it always gets like shadowed by Death Note because obviously it's Death Note. And it's a fantastic show. 3 seasons of it, just really great. Well, if you're like struggling to find motivation to work, like, you will not have more motivation to work than after watching that series.
Oh yeah, I've heard that name beforehand. I haven't actually sat down and watched. I haven't watched too much anime lately, just because I've been busy all over the place here. A little bit here and there. You do what you can here and there. Which kind of leads me to my last question on hand. And like I said, as you can see, there's the camera right there. So I was gonna have you take the center floor. Take the center floor right here and
just waddle over here.
Yeah, just waddle over here on hand. And
I can't believe you haven't shown the stream the cat yet. There's a cat down there.
Oh yeah, there's a cat down here in the middle or here. You might have to move up a little bit just in case. But I will say, just because for some reason it seems to, yeah, you're like dark in the background because of the lighting.
The lighting is
okay.
Might have to adjust the camera slightly.
Here, I'll do that.
Like over to here,
I'll do that right here.
I'm in front of the thing.
Okay, there we go. And now you could just move over here. Yeah, there you go. And you can just move over here a little bit, and you'll be good to go.
Wait, we good?
Just move up a little bit, and you'll be good.
I'm almost stepping on the cat now.
Okay, there you go. Kind of like a little bit of a tan on hand, but I will say for the most part, I was going to ask you this following question, and that's being, what are your goals and dreams? And if you can, will be the best advice you can ever give to anybody. So.
Ooh, you're hitting me with difficult questions here. You're
I'll back up.
Heavy.
Yeah,
you me up.
No, it's all good. I'll back up and I'll let you have the floor. So.
Okay. Hopes and dreams. Ooh, that is a difficult one because they're always changing, right? Like hopes and dreams are something that, like, when you're a kid, that you have like this idea in your head, and like then you hit another age and you're like, I want to do this, and then like that doesn't work out sometimes, and then you have to figure out something else. Dreams are always changing. But my current dream at the moment would be, I'm hoping to be able to move to America or Canada, do voice acting professionally. I'd love to stream, like, on the like times I'm not voice acting, because streaming is something I just really enjoy. It's always been something I've really enjoyed, even back when I had 100 views, even now when I'm only getting like 13 or 15. Like, streaming has always just been a enjoyable thing for me, for the most part. And, like, the goal would be to be living in a house with, like, either my significant other or 2 dogs or both, and, like, voice acting for a living and streaming and just having a great time. That would be the dream. What was the other part of your question? I had to think.
I was gonna say, the other part of my question was, if you can, what will be the best advice you can ever give to anybody?
Best advice I can give to anybody. It's a difficult one. Be kind to yourself. In this life, there are things you cannot control, and there are things in life that you can. And the one factor you can always affect is yourself. And if you aren't kind to yourself, sometimes the world will not be. And if you're being mean to yourself and the world's being mean to you, it can be a very deep and dark place. So, be kind to yourself. That would be the one advice I can give to people. Very simple advice, but also the main thing I would give.
Alright. No, I got you.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I will say that it's actually, even if it's the smallest device on hand, it's solid on hand just because of the fact that, understand too, that basically, no matter how hard you're working on hand or so, even if it's a dream or goal, be kind to yourself along the way. Even when the tides are rough and basically it feels like you're not making traction on hand, just be kind to yourself. You'll get there.
Yep.
A little bit of patience goes a long way, but I know for a fact, as you stay determined, you'll get it. You'll definitely get it no matter what. So
sometimes life beats you down, but at the end of the day, if you're beating yourself down with life, you're just gonna end up deeper in the hole, right? So
yeah, deeper in the hole.
Keep your head up.
And yeah, keep your head up and in the ground on hand. But with that in mind, guys, that'll be episode 17 of Shoot the Breeze.